Annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to that 70s rock fan and another one of my reviews of the wonderful entertainment coming out of South Korea. Great movies, great television. And today I'm going to be reviewing a movie thankful I had the opportunity to see at a cinema. It's a new science fiction adventure drama about a stranded Korean astronaut called The Moon, which I did a little preview of a couple of weeks ago. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie that I went to see today. Very, very good. I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to keep this review as spoiler-free as possible, although there will unavoidably be a few mild spoilers, so please be warned. Difficult to talk about a movie and review it without some spoilers, but I'll do my best to avoid most of them. So let's take a look at some images while we're talking. If I can get, there we go. So, The Moon. It's produced by CJ Entertainment, major Korean player, obviously, and distributed in North America by Well-Go USA. And I would like to pay tribute to Well-Go USA for putting these movies on in as many North Korean, that would be different, North American cinemas as possible, and particularly my little corner of Canada. It's great to have the opportunity to see these movies in a theater as opposed to having to wait for streaming. The film is written and directed by Yong-Hwa, creator of the highly successful big budget fantasy Along with the Gods series, and it stars Do Kyung-soo, who's in Along with the Gods, and Kyun-gu, amongst others. Great supporting cast too. But what is the premise of this particular movie? So the year is 2029, and the Korean space program proceeds outside the joint cooperative efforts of other countries in the world, and in particularly is frowned upon by NASA, despite a senior NASA director being a South Korean national, Moon Young. She's a NASA director, played by Hee-Ae. So despite that, NASA and the rest of the community trying to do more missions to the moon and set up moon bases, etc., despite that they have excluded South Korea from those efforts. And this is largely due to a failed Korean mission 5 years earlier than the setting of the present day of the moon. And that mission ended in the loss of life of the astronauts in a big tragedy, and also the tragic suicide as a result of the chief engineer of the project, and his friend, the flight director, resigned from the space agency. So, and obviously Moon Young here was involved with the Korean Space Agency then, but moved over to NASA. So a lot of fallout from that particular tragedy 5 years ago, which you see mainly in flashbacks, but does affect the emotional impact of the characters in the present day film and the issues that arise there. So it's the emotional foundation of the movie. Now, I was pleasantly surprised to see the part of the chief engineer in the flashbacks was played in a cameo, really, by the great Lee Sung-min, most recently seen, particularly by me, in fantastic TV show called Shadow Detective. I mean, he's been in many, many other great movies and TV, but this is a very recent Disney Plus series in which he excels in. It's an engrossing show, so please check out Shadow Detective, 2 seasons of that if you get the chance. Now, the new 3-man mission to the moon is attempting to do a moon landing, and it's going to search for resources there. And the junior astronaut on that mission is Sun Woo, played by Do Kyung-soo, as we mentioned previously in Along with the Gods. He is the son of the former chief engineer who tragically took his life after the previous mission failed. And he's keen to overcome what he sees as the failures of his father or his father's mission. That's certainly one of his driving forces. Former Navy SEAL, fairly new astronaut, and the junior member of the 3-man team that's been sent to the moon. Now, the spacecraft that they're on is almost in moon orbit when tragedy strikes. There's a severe solar storm, which disables the spacecraft, knocks out all communications with the ground, and leaves, in attempting to fix the problems, it leaves Sun Woo alone as the sole remaining member of the team. So things are looking pretty dire. However, the former flight director of the previous missions, Kim Ye-guk, played by Kyun-gu, is called in to help rescue his former friend's son and salvage the mission. But this is only the beginning of the challenges that Sun Woo faces, both in moon orbit and on the, spoiler alert, on the surface of the moon, because he does make it to the moon surface more than once. It's because there are meteor showers, there's continuing solar flares, there are equipment issues, there are politics on Earth interfering, all present seemingly insurmountable obstacles to completing the mission and his very survival. And whilst his survival is always in danger, he is focused on completing the mission, which is to get under the moon and do what they said they were going to do there. He wants to honor his colleagues by doing that. So I don't want to give away any more about the plot, as it were. But suffice to say that from this point onwards, there's a lot of exciting action, a lot of drama, and a lot of emotional impact as Sun Woo and the others struggle to resolve the situation and get him safely back to Earth. So, generally speaking, what did I think of this movie? Well, first of all, I was absolutely entranced and hugely entertained. I got to say, right out of the gate, that this movie is in my wheelhouse. I mean, I am a hard science fiction fan, a lover of technology and science fiction, of space travel, space opera, and that kind of hard science fiction, and also a lover of other movies in this subgenre, if you want to call it that, of space rescue. Hence my desire to make that 2-hour round trip to the only cinema in this province showing Korean movies. So I was absolutely entranced, hugely entertained. Firstly, the visuals are stunning. Now, whether it's the detail of the spacecraft, the action shots of the orbiter circling the moon, the lunarscapes themselves, and again, spoiler alert, Sun Woo does make it to the surface. It just looks fantastic. The production design, cinematography, and direction all just add up to make the visually stunning, feast for the eyes in a cinema particularly. So very glad I got to see it there. So the shots of Sun Woo, weightless, or tumbling around out of control in his crippled craft, are extremely well done. So, as I say, good job to everybody involved with that. The acting, of course, as with many of my other favorite Korean movies, is the icing on the cake. Absolutely superb from the leads. As we mentioned, Kim Hee-Ae is great in the role of the director, the conflicted NASA director who does her best to assist her Korean friends without a great personal cost to her, as she's directed not to do so. But I got to give special props to the other two leads. Um, often we'll see Sol Kyung-gu as a tough guy or a villain in movies such as, Yaksha, Ruthless Operations, which I adore. Phantom, a brilliant movie released earlier this year. Please check that out. And then more recently, Kill Box Soon on Netflix. So he plays a lot of those kind of guys, hard guys or action guys or villains. Not that he doesn't play with the depth, of course, but here he plays a much more sensitive soul, haunted by those past secrets and regrets, and showing a very vulnerable and deeply emotional side. I mean, he's very conflicted because of the events of the past, which he bears some guilt of. And it's affects his ability to do. I mean, he's basically starts the movie in exile in an observatory in Mount Bexu. So getting back into that, being dragged back into that world in the Korean Space Agency in that control room with all this stuff happening is very difficult for him. But he cares deeply for Sun Woo, so feels he has to do it. So it's great to see him play a role like this. But Do Kyung-soo is phenomenal as the stranded astronaut. His character is young and obviously scared. I mean, who wouldn't be? But he's also very determined, and he wants to try and complete his mission. He wants to survive to honor his lost colleagues and his father's memory, and that determination is fantastic to see. I mean, I enjoyed his performance in Along with the Gods, but for me, this performance takes him to another level. You absolutely feel for him and with him every step of the way. He's a very sympathetic and compelling performance with the duality of the fear and loneliness, but also the desperate desire to complete his mission. So bravo to him. Great performance, fantastic interaction verbally with the other characters trying to rescue him back in Korean control as well. So if I was to have any minor quibbles with the movie, it would be the seemingly invincible resilience of the lunar landing craft. In reality, these things are wafer thin and couldn't stand the punishment that Sun Woo's plucky little craft takes. But hey, for dramatic purposes, I will overlook that. But likewise, the escalating series of crises that some reviewers may see as a little too much layered on top of each other. But hey, it's an action disaster movie, so that's what you get. And that's what provides the thrills and the spills. I would say that the movie also features some very positive messages about cooperation, human connection, particularly in a world of technology, forgiveness, and redemption, all of which play a very powerful part in the third act of the movie. Many people may see those messages as corny, but I personally prefer those to the cynicism of many Hollywood movies today. I think it's refreshing to see characters that we care deeply about striving for those kind of connections. And, you want people to survive, basically. It's a highly entertaining movie. It's got a lot of excitement and tension, very satisfying ending for me. I don't want to say too much because I'll give any more away, but if you love space, technology, science fiction drama like me, if you love those things, you will thoroughly enjoy it. So if you do get the chance to see it in the cinema, I would thoroughly recommend it. So that's The Moon. Thank you for watching this video and for my other content. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, leave a thumbs up. Take part in the conversation. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this movie and other Korean movies that you've enjoyed. And subscribe to the channel. All helps with that wonderful YouTube algorithm as we try to get the word out about these wonderful movies. So once again, thank you. And until next time, keep on rocking and Chulchin Inseo. Be well and take care.